client success stories are different, and everyone has a different type of story. Can you share something that will get us excited, inspire us?
Sure. Well, one thing is this young man that I met just a month ago, and certainly his story is exceptional in that it's been such a short amount of time. Corona's given us the opportunity to work in a much more condensed fashion, sort of personalized, individualized, intensive. So we've met for 3 weeks. We did 3 times a week for 40 minutes, and then we're meeting every week on twice a week. And then this past week, he fired me. He told me, I think we could use some more time between meetings, and I couldn't have been more excited. So now we're going to meet once a week, but he's really driving his own process forward. And what's amazing is when I met him, as I said, he came from a background that couldn't have been more challenging financially and emotionally and everything. Came with a stutter that was pretty pronounced, really, really strong. He had all kinds of things that he would do. So he would talk, and then when he would breathe in, he'd make a noise like, there'd be all these extraneous noises and movements as he was trying to get his words out. And it was very difficult for me to really hear him out. And certainly it was effortful and hard for him to say what he wanted to say. We went through these 4 units together, and slowly but surely getting someone or giving someone the opportunity to try something on, a strategy to be fluent, is easy, to be honest. In a controlled situation with a coach at your side, dynamics are really structured. It's not rocket science, and I'm quoting some of the greats in our field said that as well. The magic is, how do you help a person own that? How do you help a person integrate that? How do you help a person bring that into their day-to-day life? And this young man slowly but surely kind of charted out how he was going to take his very small comfort zone with me and then expand that into including his brother and having chats with his brother and feeling more open. And his brother spontaneously messaged me and said, I have to tell you, he's stuttering quite a bit, just as he was before, but I've never had a conversation with him like we did yesterday. I said, oh, tell me more. He said, well, he called me to tell me that when he was on the phone with you on the Zoom, he made a phone call. And he never thought he'd ever make a phone call, and he wanted me to hear him. So he made a phone call while he was on the phone with me. I said, wow, that's incredible. He said, his brother tells him, yeah, that was my 30th phone call today. Now, I never told him to do that. But he suddenly was so excited, and he recognized what he could do for himself I have this line I like, it's practice makes not perfect, meaning practice doesn't make perfect. That's the way the phrase goes, practice makes perfect. It's not true. If you practice a golf swing or tennis swing or foul shot the wrong way, you're not going to make it perfect. You're going to make it permanent. So repetition makes things permanent. So the physical trigger, the physical response, the emotional trigger, the emotional response, the anticipation, all those cycles of dances that we go through, the more we go through them, the more permanent they become. As we find a new way, until we kind of do it again and again, it's building against an old permanent that was built by repetition. By creating a new cycle of repetition, we can change that cycle, that trigger response. So this young man, that was extraordinary. And then he was journaling along the way, and I told him he's going to write a book. There's no doubt about it. And he's handwritten several pages, which he sends to me before each meeting. In the beginning, I would read them. Now he enjoys reading them to me, and they're rather long. And at the end of his last one, he said, I think the people in my neighborhood are going to start talking about me, because it's a whole new me. I go to the supermarket and I would fumble around and I would never ask a question or never, ask for directions or challenge anybody. And now I'm like deliberately talking to people. I think they're talking about me. I don't know. But what I do know is that nothing can stop me from my success. Wow. Exclamation point. And so that's just an incredible journey that he's been on, expanding the people with whom he's, just expressing himself more freely. His stuttering, the average person would say he still stutters nicely, but it's a fraction of what it was physically. But most importantly, he feels like an entirely new person because he's communicating freely. So even though there's still the presence of interruptions, of blocks, of repetitions, what he's discovered and the joy that he has and the smile on his face and the hope for the future and the confidence in his future compared to the despair and feeling like he was worthless has been so incredibly amazing to see. And then making sure that he can sustain it and not puff himself up too much so that he sets himself up for, falling down, making sure he does it in a measured way, in a sustainable way, and having a community of people around him, in this case, brothers and sisters and friends, and he's extending his team, has been a really amazing story. So that's a severe physical trait kind of thing. And then on the other side, you have people who you wouldn't even know they stutter. But they're on the inside, tied up in knots, hiding it and switching words and thinking they'll never be able to find a spouse. They'll never be able to say their vows. And so, working with people like that who dream, let's say I'm thinking of one guy, his name was John and wanted to be like Delta Force, elite commando. And he figured I have to perfect my speech because at the end of, Hell Week, they're going to have an interview with all these psychologists that are analyzing you legitimately. I have to nail it. What do I do? So after doing all this work on the physical stuff, he says, what do I do at the interview? I said, I got to break it to you. In that situation, you're going to be exhausted. You're going to be burned down, run down deliberately. And you have all these people judging you. You're legitimately going to be stressed out. You're probably not going to be able to nail it and hide or not stutter. You're probably going to stutter. Maybe go in there and say, look, this is how I talk ever since I was a kid. It's not a problem here, and it's not a problem here. I'm ready to be a great soldier. What do you want to ask me? And he called me a couple weeks later, and he told me he got invited to all the elite units.
Wow.
And he chased down the particular guy from the unit that he dreamed of and chased him down the hallway. And he said, I just want to thank you for taking me, even though I have a stutter. And the guy turned to him and said, shut up. Don't ever say that again. We didn't take you, even though you have a stutter. We took you the moment you introduced yourself like that. We knew you had what we wanted. Everybody that comes into this stage has all the physical requirements and the mental, intellectual, requirements. The way you were open, the way you were brave and courageous and vulnerable to put that on the table, that's the kind of presence, that's the kind of person that we're looking for. And that's when we knew we wanted you. So it's not even though, it was more like because of, and the way you handled that stressor, the way you handled that challenge, that really showed what kind of person you are. So to me, those are two great stories.
I love these success stories because they're not the, magic bullet and he's perfectly fluent.
Right.
They're making their life what they want.
Right.
And they're stacking successes over and over, and they're building on what they have. And those are wonderful. That's really great, Uri. Uri, it's been wonderful talking with you, as always.
There's never enough
I wish
time.
everyone could just get on the phone and just call you, and I suppose they could, but I always love it, and this was just another great conversation.
Great. I think what you're doing is fantastic. It's great to kick it off with you and to see this thing that you're doing just continue to develop. Your written word, your videos are amazing. And for those that have the interest, I would definitely encourage you to check out Stein on Stuttering. Larry has, firsthand experience. He's an adult who's gone through all kinds of stages and steps along the way, and he finds himself in a place where all he wants to do is freely share what he feels might be valuable. He has no ulterior motive or agenda, and I think he's got a lot of wisdom and perspective to offer. And in the idea that nobody has the whole picture, I think the multiplicity of stories, the more people you can listen to and check in with and learn from, the wiser and better off you'll be. So I encourage you to check out Larry. And I'll make one plug for our website, schneiderspeech.com. I'll even do one cool background, and you can see on our website the free documentaries and all kinds of stuttering films that are accessible. You can check us out on Instagram,
Look at
Facebook,
that.
YouTube. And if you click on the website, you can send us a message. You can schedule a call with my assistant, Barbara. And if you want to get on a call with me, you can set up a free 10-minute phone call. We'd really try to be accessible and responsive and, be open the same way we hope everyone else can be. So wish everyone stays safe and well. And thanks for this time together.
Thank you, Uri. You're terrific. Talk soon. Take care.
Good job, Larry. All the best.
Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.